Hello, everyone. It's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, more ridiculous from Joy and Reid. Ridiculousness from Joy and Reid. Just to go back in time for a bit, Joy and Reid said some bad things about gays. Now, this is problematic, seeing as you're in the Democratic Party, you're a Democratic functionary, you're on MSNBC, a network that's, for all intents and purposes, a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party. They hug identity. They hug identity because they don't want to deal with other issues, meaning they're hugging of identity. Oh, darky, come here. I'm going to hug this darky. I love darkies. I love darkies. I love gays. Because they hug identity to this degree, they do so they don't have to deal with economic realities of these identities. Meaning they use one to obfuscate from the next. If they can call you sexist and gay and a bigot and all this other stuff, they do it because they're going to hug identity. The fact is, though, they do this because economic realities. They're bought. The party is bought. And so as long as they can obfuscate with these issues of identity, then they don't necessarily have to deal with economic realities of these actual identities. It's this thing of being able to walk and chew gum at the same time. Me being on this kick of our economic system needs to change in no way stops me from defending blacks or gays or Hispanics or anybody else. I'm perfectly capable of walking and chewing gum at the same time, at least in a political context. But that's not the excuse that Democrats make. They hug identity. They love it. So it's somewhat problematic that Joy and Reid, this kind of pugnacious figure on the Democratic Party's ticket that's on MSNBC, gets caught saying bad things about one of these identities. She says bad things about gays. Apparently Joy and Reid's a closet homophobe. This conflicts with her political ideology and political identity. And so right off the bat, there's a conflict and there's a problem. Now, the first batch she apologized for. And just so we're clear on what that first batch was. This is Splinter News. Right here. A full decade ago, when she was still a morning talk show host in South Florida, Reid edited a political blog called The Reid Report. She used the blog to write, among other things, an ugly string of posts attempting to out Florida Governor Charlie Crist as gay, repeatedly referring to him as Miss Charlie, calling his marriage to the woman a fraud, and even speculating about their sex life and wondering if Chris's wife had to cope with him ogling male waiters on their honeymoon. Now, that's funny, but fucked up. That's funny, but fucked up, especially coming from the standpoint of the Democratic Party supposed to love and hug identities. This woman is outwardly attacking somebody based on their identity for political ends. That's all. It's purely for political ends. It's the same situation when they were going after Bernie Sanders for being white. Tom Perez, Hispanic, sends a letter to Hillary Clinton. Let's make him the white candidate. And that is exactly what they did all throughout the United States, or at the very least tried to do, make him the white candidate, despite the fact of him willing some of the most multinational states, multicultural states in this country. You have a problem, Joy. This looks bad. Joy comes out and says, look, I'm sorry. I said bad things back then. I'm sorry. It was acceptable during that time to say bad things about gays, so I was saying bad things about gays in order to attack Charlie Crist. World is good. This blows over. Another batch comes out. This batch, more damaging because at the very least the first batch was somewhat funny. The second batch, there's no humor in the second batch. This is just somewhat fucked up. So, right here. Reid defending former NBA star Tim Hardaway, saying that he hates gay people by saying the most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. In the same post, she went on to write that it's intrinsic for heterosexual people to believe homosexual is, well, gross. It's not intrinsic, it's societally driven. In the same way that being racist is not something that somebody is born with, being sexist or homophobic is also something that somebody is not born with. Those things are taken on by the society itself. So, it's not intrinsic or anything else. How your society looks at those things is essentially how people themselves will look at those things. This is like her saying human nature is a particular way. Human nature is not that way. Ideally floating an interesting question about whether you can manipulate the genes of your unborn child to make sure they're not gay. The 2006 Post countdowning the totally not gay celebrities of the year, a list that included Clay Aiken, Tom Cruise, and Anderson Cooper. Well, she was right about Anderson Cooper and Clay Aiken, but why are you speculating about this? Promoting the insidious and deeply held stereotype that gay men are just predators and pedophiles seeking impressionable teens. That's the worst part of all of this. Like, the Miss Charlie thing is funny to me. I'm sorry, it is. Call me whatever you want to call me. The Miss Charlie thing is funny to me. In the same way I can laugh at jokes about myself, about my race, and all this other stuff, I think the Miss Charlie thing is funny. The promoting the thought that homophobic men are predators and pedophiles, it's ghastly. That's ghastly. Joanne Reid didn't come out and apologize for these. She said she was hacked. I was hacked. Like Anthony Weiner was hacked when he sent a dick pic. I was hacked. I'm a hack that was hacked. That's what she's claiming. This case has jumped the shark of ridiculousness into something else. She's called the FBI in on this case. There have been time-traveling hackers that have gone back in time to inject information. And here's the other catch that I kind of miss. The Wayback Machine. There's information going back on the internet that kept records of the things that were said back in those blog posts. And Joanne Reid is at loss to explain why information is in the Wayback Machine. Meaning, how did they get this information back then if this information was hacked? You're trying to say that there were time-traveling hackers that went back and injected information into the Wayback Machine just to tar you and make you look bad. But you've already have posts kind of making you look bad on this front. She said there were time-traveling hackers. She's not saying this overtly, but that would have to be true. Seeing as the edifices, the electronic edifices that are in place that keeps track of records that take place back then, show no record of hacking on this. So there's a problem. Did Joanne Reid say those really hurtful and hateful things? Or was she hacked by time-traveling hackers? She's gotten the FBI involved. The interesting part about getting the FBI involved on this is, it's interesting that as a Democrat, she thought the FBI was a place to go to, but the Democratic Party, when finding that their servers were hacked, didn't go to the FBI, they went to CrowdStrike. That's peculiar, that's odd. Explain to me, Joy, why did you go to the FBI, but the Democratic Party didn't feel the need to go to the FBI? That's peculiar, right? You're saying, I've been hacked. There's been an intrusion into some, space. This is space online. This is electronic space. And somebody has injected records just to make me, Joanne Reid, look bad. Somebody's just trying to make me look bad. You went to the FBI. The Democratic Party went to a organization that they themselves were paying out of their pocket. What I'm asking you, Joy, is why did you go to the FBI? And why don't you think it's weird that the Democratic Party didn't go to the FBI? Let's take a look at CNN. I find this to be utterly insane and ridiculous. She was better off just saying, like I said before, I'm sorry. I said some bad things about gays when it was acceptable to say those bad things about gays. I'm sorry. I've evolved on this issue. I'm sorry. That's where you need to go. Take the Cenk Uygur method. If you remember when Cenk Uygur got caught with all that stuff he said in the past, I'm sorry. I've evolved. I've changed. Leave it. Leave it. It blows over. It doesn't blow over, however, if you try to instigate time-traveling hackers into the process. At that point, people think you're lying, and people think you're making shit up. Because it looks like you're making shit up. And this gets to jump the shark from regards to ridiculousness. This is CNN. Joanne Reid's attorney says FBI has opened investigation into the hacking claim. An attorney representing embattled MSNBC host Joanne Reid said Wednesday that the FBI has opened a criminal investigation into various online accounts belonging to her, adding yet another layer of convoluted saga that has bewildered the media world. I'm glad CNN, I'm glad. Even CNN says, yeah, this is kind of convoluted. Reid has raised eyebrows this week with her assertions that a number of newly unearthed homophobic posts ostensibly from her now shuttered blog were actually the handiwork of someone who infiltrated her account. In a statement on Monday, she said she and her representatives had notified federal law enforcement officials of the breach. And Tuesday night, a cybersecurity analyst hired by Reid said that, oh, there we go. She did hire her own cybersecurity analyst, like the DNC hired their own one to do whatever they need to do in this case. Hired by Reid said that along with his own investigation into the matter, he is cooperating with the federal law enforcement. On Wednesday evening, Reid's attorney, John H. Reichman, released a statement through MSNBC. We received information that FBI has opened an investigation into the potential criminal activities surrounding several online accounts, including personal email and blog accounts belonging to Joy and Reid. Reichman said in a statement, "Our own investigation, monitoring of the situation will continue in parallel, and we are cooperating with law enforcement as their investigation proceeds. In keeping with the usual practice, the FBI did not comment on whether they're conducting an investigation." All I can state is that the FBI has the data, Jonathan Nichols, the analyst hired by Reid, told the CNN in a phone interview on Wednesday. That's essentially all I can say. Reid's claim that the posts were fraudulent and results of a hack was met with immediate and widespread skepticism. Even CNN. I love that, man. Even CNN is like, this sounds dicey. This sounds a little weird. Why would anybody put in information like this go back in time? So you have these hackers that are breaking into the Wayback Machine in order to inject information, not just the Wayback Machine, also on Twitter and other things that have recorded this information. I'm skeptical. I'm extraordinarily skeptical. If there was a level of skepticism that hits 20, I would be at 300. Just like Wiener sending a dick pic and then later on saying it was hacked. And coming back later, okay. It was my dick pic. I'm Carlos Danger. I strongly suspect that Joy and Reid is going to have a come to Jesus moment. Or maybe not. Democratic Party never came to Jesus. Maybe Joy and Reid never comes to Jesus. Maybe this is her way to obfuscate. Maybe these are too damaging. The Charlie Reid, the Reid ones, the ones going after Charlie Chris, aren't too sharp in the edge that they go after him. But some of the other ones, the whole pedophile thing is, that's gross. That's beyond gross. So yeah, I would imagine if you're a Democrat and you're on one of the main shows and something like that comes out, your first response is, I don't want to be caught with that. And for all we know, Reid might have forgot that she even wrote him. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt on that point. But the time-traveling hackers thing is absurd. Time-traveling hackers. And yes, I'm saying time-traveling hackers. I'm saying it because the Wayback Machine has the information from back then. It wasn't a situation where the Wayback Machine went back in time yesterday and got it. The Wayback Machine had that information back then, meaning it was done back then. It wasn't a situation where somebody went back in time to do it. They would have had to be back in time writing the document for Reid to, for to come on and say, oh my God, this was on Reid's blog. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to leave all of the articles that are talking about this at the bottom for you to read for yourself. I find this to be utterly ridiculous. And if you said bad things about gays, just own it. I'm sorry. I said bad things about gays when I thought it was okay to get away with saying bad things about gays. However you want to say that particular statement, say it whatever way you want to try to obfuscate from the main issues that you were being grossly homophobic. And I will leave it at that. The article's at the bottom for you to read for yourself. Some of this is gross. And you can understand that her being on MSNBC, them being a Democratic thing, them being this kind of hugger of identity in this way, that this is immensely problematic for her. Is it possible that her going the FBI route, which again I find utterly absurd, but her saying I've been hacked, going that route, does she think that she can save more face than it's just saying, sorry, I fucked up? I don't know. It's her world. If CNN is saying that this is met with widespread skepticism, I guess my point is, if CNN is even recognizing it and saying, yeah, this seems dicey, then the rest of the public is probably looking at this saying them for the exact same thing. This seems dicey. It seems like you're lying. So what is MSNBC going to do about one of their people being caught saying really bad things about gays and then lying about saying bad things about gays? At least the evidence looks like she's lying about it. So I'll leave it at that. Articles at the bottom for you to see for yourself. This is utterly absurd and ridiculous, and yet she is pursuing this series of events. Have a good one, guys. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Have a good one. Thanks.